let's start with the most obvious thing. Let me ask you a question. Did you know that Biden was old?
You know what? When I voted for him in 2020, I thought he was a guy in his prime, and then he turned 90 before my eyes in the past 4 years.
Look
I
at
was
that.
caught off guard. I did not know I was voting for an old guy 4 years ago.
Yeah, imagine that. Thinking we were not voting for someone who is a geriatric. We knew that. I mean, everybody knew that, right? I mean, he was only but like what 78 then. So
Hmm.
not much has really changed since that time. He had literally turned 70, I think 77 or 78, which he's 81 now. He's gonna be 82 this year. So he turned
Yeah.
70. Had turned 78 at election time. He is a Scorpio, and his birthday is in November. Everyone knew that he was old. So
Yeah,
why are people acting like he wasn't old in 2020? I'm confused.
and then the thing that's really frustrating is that the folks who are left leaning really take that bait. They're really going with that narrative. Like the other side isn't running a guy that's just as old as Joe Biden. I mean, they're only 3 years apart. They would have gone to high school together. They would have been in the same grade school. Like
Right.
what? Like what's the problem? And I mean, the difference is that obviously we have on the other side. Not only is he old, but he's facing 91, 92, 91.
91.
90 91 criminal charges. He got impeached twice. And now he has judgments that are in excess of his liquid assets. And that side isn't even wincing. They're just like, okay, well, we'll just double down on the support. Meanwhile, we have folks on this side who are so weak in the knees and are just like ready to just like give it all up. Like I don't understand the hair is on fire crowd. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just wish they would stop being whiny little bitches, just support the guy because he has a record. The Biden administration has an impact, like an amazing, amazing record. Like, can we run on the results? Like,
No, because they're too caught up in two things. They're caught up in Biden's age and they're caught up in polls. They cannot look past any of that. They cannot see the forest for the trees. It is all about Biden being old. Okay, he's old. I've seen him in person. He's old. He gets shit done. So why are we even having this conversation? Because last time I checked, he had 14.8 million jobs that were created. He got us out of COVID, lowest black unemployment. He has, I mean, we could run down all of the damn
no
receipts.
recession. The recession was supposed to
No
be
recession
imminent.
happened, no red wave happened. Yeah, there's a lot going on. We got infrastructure bill. We have the Inflation Reduction Act. We got the COVID Act. We got all kinds of things that have occurred. Yeah, we actually did get us out of COVID. He got us out of the pandemic. We are no longer in a pandemic. Maybe no one told you, but we are out of a pandemic. So yes, people still get COVID. My husband had COVID last week, but people are not dying at a rapid rate, and we are definitely not in a pandemic anymore. So I am happy about where we are in this country. And honestly, he could be 95, and I would still vote for him because he's getting shit done.
And even the stuff that the elections that have taken place since Joe Biden has taken office and Kamala Harris have taken office, they have not gone the way that Republicans have wanted. We've either flipped a ton of shit, we've either won elections by a wide margin, or we really blunted what was supposed to be a big Republican win when the midterms came because the other party was supposed to sweep and take control of both chambers of Congress. That did not happen. We gave them such a sliver of a majority in the House that they can't afford two defections now. And we gained a seat in the Senate. Like, hello, do we not are we not happy with taking the wins? Like
No,
highlighting the wins? Like,
people say that Biden doesn't, brag, or Biden doesn't, talk about his wins. No, Democrats are such whiny little bitches, like you said, that they can't accept that we're winning. We had a special last week. We had a special guest on, which was Isaiah. He was in the New York 3 congressional district to help with that race. We weren't sure what was going to happen. I had my prediction of what was going to happen, and I thought that um, Suozzi was going to win by 5%, and he ends up winning by almost 8%. I didn't necessarily say the number, but I knew he was going to win because obviously you could read the tea leaves, and I'm very good at predicting stuff. And I felt that he was going to win, and he did. And not only did he win, he whooped her ass. Okay. So
Yep.
I am tired of people acting like Democrats aren't winning. We're not doing the things that we need to do. They ran on immigration, and of course that's always a topic on our lives, the open
Hmm.
borders stuff. And it didn't work. It clearly
Nope.
did not work. So you can fearmonger all you want with the immigrants that are coming to invade our country, but in this situation, it did not work because you know what the overarching theme was? Abortion.
Yep.
That was the overarching theme, and that took precedent for people when they went into the voting booth. And that's the thing that people are not wanting to accept, that the SCOTUS screwed Republicans, but that is of their own making.
And I'll even add to that that we flipped the script on Republicans
Absolutely.
with respect to migrants because we put everything on their lap. They had this basically a mirror of what they wanted to do in what was it, 2018 or 2017. Donald Trump wanted that bill passed, and even then, when they had control of both chambers of Congress, they could not get it done. And James Langford, who is like a MAGA Republican in the Senate, he even came out and he's like, "This is the best bill we've gotten or ever will
We
get.
gave them 80% of
Like
what they want.
everything. Like, what
80%.
else did you want?"
They wanted to use it as a tool. They wanted to use it as a fear tool to be able to rile up their base. If they actually do something about it, then they have nothing to say about the issue because now it falls back on them. Playing politics is a tricky game because when you play politics, someone's going to win and someone's going to lose, and Republicans lost that one. And you know what? That is their own problem. This is the bed that they made because they have used that issue. The caravans are coming. How many times have we remember
Yep.
when the caravan was coming in December and then the caravan no longer existed? Yeah, we will all remember that. So it's kind of funny to just watch it all play out in real time and see how horrible they are at politics if Democrats actually win the messaging war. And in this case on the border, we won the messaging war because if you ask people when they were asking people about why they were voting a certain way
Hmm.
in that district, they literally said they killed the bill. Like people in New York, we're both from New York area. We know how people think up there. They want shit done. They don't want people. They're not gonna hire people to do nothing. Like
Right.
you paying money to do to not work because that's what Republicans do. They don't want to work.
They don't want to do anything. And I don't understand why the strategy was for Republicans. Why didn't they think, okay, you know what? Everyone saw that we tied Joe Biden's hands with respect to funding for Ukraine and that we wanted this passed. He did it. We won because we tied the administration's hands. And by the way, this was basically like 80%, 85% of the thing we wanted to do back when Donald Trump was president. So this was really Donald Trump's win. Like they could have positioned it that way. And what did they do? They were like,
It
no,
was,
let's just walk
but
away.
even worse, Jose, is that they they asked for this. They when Biden asked for the money when he asked for money for Ukraine and for
Hmm.
Israel, they were the ones that tied the border
Yep.
security bill to this, and they decided that that was going to be the only way. Okay, so Biden and the Democrats got to work, and James Langford offered his services to be the person to negotiate this on the Republican side. They got all the way to the end of that bill, got it into like actual wording in a whole document, and they said no. Why? Because Trump told them to kill the bill. And that goes back to the point that we make pretty much every week, that it's a cult. If Trump doesn't say anything, they go forward with this bill because they literally got everything that they wanted. But because their cult daddy says nah, they jumped on that and they were like, no, we're not going to do it. And what did they gain politically out of it? Nothing. They have gained
Nothing.
zero out of it.
Nothing. They're just going with the whims of Donald Trump. And one of the dangers in that, and I don't see how it motivates voters, because if you aren't being guided by a political compass, the guy that you're following could change his mind and do a complete 180. And now where are you? So how is that sane? How does that motivate voters? But I'm not one to give them advice on how to be a better party.
Exactly.
That's
We're not here to give them advice on how to win over their voters. Clearly, whatever they're doing is not working to a certain extent, because what did they, like I said, what did they gain in New York 3? Absolutely nothing. They spent a ton of money on a woman that was a hot mess, and nothing came of it, and they're going to continue to lose. Do you see how many people are leaving the Congress? I mean, people
Yep.
are retiring every week. Every week we get someone new that's deciding to retire at the end of the year, and that's more money that is going to have to be spent on these new people that are going to have to run in these districts. So I'm all for it. Let them, people go to the Senate. Most people go to the Senator Marjorie Taylor Greene and her crew go to the Senate and go to the House of Representatives to do work. And if you are not going there to do work, and if you're sitting there and everything that you're trying to pass, these people there's someone dictating how you are supposed to do your job. What is the point of even being there? So they're gonna keep dropping like flies, because what is the point of going to work to do nothing? You're in
Exactly.
the majority. You're in the majority. It's not like it's one thing if you're in the minority and you're not, there's like nothing for you to do except for go to hearings. But they chose to not do anything. They're like, Johnson is such a horrible person. And please, let's remind people that we still don't have a budget bill. They
Right.
spent all this time on nothing the last couple of weeks, and they're on 2-week recess now in the House. They're not coming back until the last week of February. And guess what's due on March 2nd, which is literally that Monday. So 5 days later is the first bill the first day when there's a budget bill due, and it will shut down a certain department. The following week is when all the other, what have they done? They delayed this for a whole month and
No,
have done nothing on the.
they impeached Mayorkas. They
Yo,
impeached
they spent time.
Mayorkas.
Yeah, they spent time impeaching Mayorkas, which did what?
Yep.
Which did what? Because last I saw, he was still in his job, and they're gonna have the freaking Senate waste time on a stupid ass hearing, impeachment hearing for this. And what is gonna be accomplished? Because we know he's gonna be exonerated. They don't even
Yep.
have the votes to do it. So it was a show, and they admit that it was a show. It's just asinine, and they try to do it like so, like right before the election, like a couple of hours.
Right. That's
It,
that's how I knew it was good. They were
it
seeing
didn't
something
even
on the ground.
calculate. It
Like I
didn't even,
mean,
like we talked about last night. It didn't even calculate into the news cycle. So it
right.
was a wasted effort.
And then when they did that, that's when I knew what they were seeing on the ground at New York Star District. I knew that right away. I was like, "Oh, this is probably going to be bigger than they expected." Because if they're moving this fast to impeach Mayorkas, because if Suozzi gets sworn in, then their whole impeachment thing is dead because they won't have enough votes to impeach Suozzi the next
And
day.
the reason that they were able to pass it was because Judy Chu, who's from California, she had
Hmm.
COVID. So she couldn't come to the house. They wouldn't have had enough votes if she was there.
That's
They just got lucky that two people weren't in attendance that day, and it was a snowstorm, and it was a lot going on, and they were able to do it. But it's such a wasted effort that they spend so much time on stuff that is so unnecessary.
and people
Like,
see it. I think people really
I hope
understand
so.
that the House is really not doing anything under Mike Johnson's leadership. But I guess if we could talk about ineffective House members and messy House members, I guess we can talk about Rashida Tlaib.
Oh boy, Rashida. So let's start even before, well, let's start with two things. One, which was the
Hmm.
vote on the rape, for like they were basically condemning rape
Yep.
by Hamas, and she decided that she was going to sit that one out, even though she was there. That just blew my mind in itself, because if you can't condemn Hamas and then she tried to all women's lives, all rape lives
Yep.
matter it, which was very frustrating to me, because listen, if you can't condemn rape, what the hell are you doing? Yes,
Exactly.
if you feel so strongly about the fact that that prisoners or people in Israel are being, raped, women are being raped by the IDF, then go make yourself a resolution and get people to be on your side to vote for it. I just don't understand her strategy here. But then it came out that her sister was running this campaign
Yep.
for for uncommitted, for people to sign, fill in uncommitted on the primary ballot.
In
And
Michigan. Yep.
yeah, and so that was like earlier in the week, and then we get her video last night telling people, supporting her sister's initiative, and this is where we are. So I mean, people are pretty pissed off with her, and I don't blame them. I mean, but I'm not surprised. I mean, this is the same lady that was talking crap about Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's a
Yep.
disgusting person.
Disgusting. And I don't see what political future she has because she's just isolating herself. And she's not isolating herself from quote unquote centrist Democrats. Even her own squad members are like,
Yeah, we don't know about
that's a
that.
bridge too far for me.
Yeah, because even they voted for that bill. But what I do find funny is 3 weeks ago,
Sorry, we're talking about
Julie.
Rashida Tlaib, Yvonne. Someone asked in the
Okay, yeah,
comments. Yeah,
no,
we're
we're
talking
talking
about
about
Rashida
Julie.
Tlaib.
She has a history of doing crazy things, and like I said, all of the people in the squad, they voted for that bill to condemn Hamas. This is what I was gonna say. She 3 weeks ago, she met with Julie Chavez, who is Biden's campaign manager, when she went to Michigan.
Hmm.
So it's not like she doesn't know what's going on. People are ignoring her. She actually was able to meet with the campaign, and for her to go now and basically tell people to be uncommitted, this doesn't spell to me that she's a serious person.
Right.
Because does she really want a solution to the issues in Gaza when we know that the administration has people in Cairo trying to negotiate a deal with Hamas and Israel to try to get a ceasefire, to get hostages released? Like, there are things going on that she is not paying attention to. Biden has definitely switched up and shifted his message on Israel for those who are paying attention. As we saw when he gave the press conference last week, he said it was, their response was over the top. But Biden does not control Israel at
Right.
the end of the day. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
they're thinking by doing this uncommitted thing that it's going to change what's going on. But Biden has already shifted in that direction. I mean, I'm still trying to understand what the point is. Well, what do you want to convince him of? He even met the State Department met with Arabs and Muslims to talk about, kind of what was going on in Palestinians. There was also a meeting that Biden's team went to Michigan and talked to people in Dearborn
Hmm.
and in Michigan about what, and even apologize to them on the messaging and saying, look, we acknowledge that our messaging on this probably hasn't been the best, and we're going to try to do better. They're like, well, we don't care about messaging. We want a solution. The solution does not come from Biden. The solution comes from Israel and Hamas. Hamas could surrender tomorrow and this war could be over. Israel could decide
Yep.
that they're not, they'll have a different strategy on the war. Biden is not a dictator. He doesn't dictate to us. He doesn't dictate to Israel, but he is clearly pissed off and running out of patience with Bibi Netanyahu.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, of course, I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? Because again, like you said, it's not like he runs the country over there. And I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to is if there was truly a desire for a ceasefire, this never would have happened in the first place because there was already a ceasefire in place on.
Exactly.
So, I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
Hamas made a decision to start this specific war,
Yep.
right? We have done this over and over again. Like you said, there was a ceasefire that was put in place in May, and here we are. So, I mean, 4 months into this war, almost five at this. What is it? Almost five, because that was October. So November, December, January, February, almost 5 months and a couple of weeks that we have been involved, not physically, but obviously from a political standpoint. Now we are part of this war because people are using it as I say, like a weapon against by say, he's committing genocide and all these different things, and
Yeah,
it's
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 crazy.
ridiculous.
It's so crazy to me. And it just gives an opening for the other side to win. And if you think the other side is going to be better, Did we not learn the lessons of 2016? Like,
Apparently not.
I don't know, but
I don't know what they expect, but I know that I know that Trump was in Michigan yesterday and no one showed up to his rallies to, scream, Trump hates Muslims. Like we've known all the things that he's said. I mean, he's
hmm
literally said he would send, deport all of the people who supposedly support Hamas on campuses and all this stuff. So it's not like Trump is not had doesn't have rhetoric that is going against their movement, but will they show up to do anything to get him? Absolutely not. Why would the hell would they go and protest Trump? They're both on the same side. I love the picture where you had the MAGA people on one side,
Yep.
and then you had the supposed pro-Palestinian people on the other side.
hmm
And I saw we were I think on Twitter we kind of both were in the comments, and the person got mad at me and said like, well, how are they this? I said they were two sides of the same coin, and the person said, and you responded to them and said, they both hate Democrats. I mean, they both
Right.
hate Joe Biden. Like they are two sides of the same coin, and a lot of people seem to not understand what that phrase means, which is weird.
Yeah, it's totally, and it was just so funny watching it in action. Like that picture was just amazing. Like that's definitely one that I'm going to keep in stored for later use.
Yep. I don't know. It's craziness. Lots going
The,
on.
Speaking of craziness that's going on, let's talk about Fani Willis and
Oh boy.
the hearing on Thursday, where she came in hot out the gate.
I was watching that all morning. So I was on my way to work when it first started. I got there, I was watching it. So I got to work around like 11. Don't ask questions. I just go to work at late. I had to go in the office.
Okay.
I got there at 11 and I was like, all right, I started watching the trial. I'm like, oh, not trial, but the hearing. And I'm like, okay, this is going on and on. And I'm at first I was thinking, when I was in the car on my way, that one woman, Yuri, she had
hmm
testified and she said, they were together before before he started working. I was like, okay, well, this is suspect. That's not a good look. And then
Right.
the judge ended up agreeing to have Nathan Wade, give his testimony. And he was so like kind of slow
Yeah,
talking and he a
I was
little
falling
vague.
asleep.
Yeah, he was vague about a couple of things. So I wasn't really sure what to think about
hmm
the way that he was answering the question. But he did establish a few things. One, he established that they didn't start a relationship until after he was hired, which was in November he was hired, that they didn't start a relationship until February. Now, I understand that. That made sense to me. You guys are working on this investigation. They were friends obviously before, but now you're working in close quarters. You're constantly together. You're going out, you're eating together. You're doing this, working on this case together. It makes sense that people who work in close quarters end up in a relationship together. I mean, it happens. This is not a new thing.
Right.
But so it kind of changed my perspective on things. At first, I was like, you know what? Maybe this was not good judgment on her part to be with this man. And as the day went on, I was like, this is interesting. But by the time I left work, we had now got to the point where they are talking about the her subpoena, and I think the judge was going to rule that she didn't have to testify.
Right.
But literally from the car, I'm in the car driving home. This is now like 2:30 ish, and I see her come in with her pink dress.
hmm
I'm like, oh my God, she's going to give her fucking story. This is
Yep.
amazing. And she did it. It was a work of art. I mean, no
It
one
it
expected.
was amazing. I loved it. I mean, I was working from home, and I was not expecting her to testify. And then I'm like, holy shit, she's up there, and you could tell she's definitely like she's got things to say because she was giving that aura, and I was like, okay, someone's about to get fucked up right now.
It was the getting in the chair and then kind of
Yep.
like lean back. Oh, these people are in
She's
trouble.
like, I need a copy of this, I need a copy of that, and everyone was running around like, oh shit, let's like, it was amazing, and her testimony was great. It was so great that the state did not call her to testify the next day,
There was
which
nothing
was
more. I mean,
there was nothing else to say.
there
She
was
covered
nothing
all
more to
her
say.
bases, and also, why would the state give an opportunity for the defense to cross-examine her? it
Yeah,
doesn't
no.
wouldn't make sense.
You don't give them any more ammunition than they already had, which was nothing. So they never established their case. Their case was technically about the money, like
Right.
the fact that
If
she
she
spent the
benefited from it.
yeah, she benefited from it, and she did not clearly benefit from it. They were like, "Well, where did the money come from?" She's like, "I take out money I go to the ATM, take out money, or I go to Publix, or I buy something, I get some cash back, I put it in the
Yep.
safe." I took, and people were so stupid because this is the thing that pisses me off, that MAGA creates narratives off of things that people say that they have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
So one of the narratives was that she took money out of her campaign.
Yeah, she broke
It
campaign
was,
finance laws.
it was,
Yeah.
if you watch they took one clip and they tried to make it a thing. No,
Yep.
that's not what she said. What she said was she took out money to support her first campaign, which was
Hmm.
for not the DA, not for her DA's office, but for her to be a judge, a judge for the county. And she ran that. She had run that race, and they went to a runoff, and then she ended up losing that race. So she took out money, she said, from her retirement fund to be able to support that campaign. And guess what, guys? I went to, because I'm the receipts lady, I went to the Georgia election page where you can see the campaign finance page, and she did give $30,000 to her campaign. So she took some money and she put it in her safe and she kept it there because, again, she had to do a runoff. And guess what? She had the money. She has a job. She still gets paid she gets paid $110,000 a year to do this job. That is her money that she has earned, like she said, from her blood, sweat, and tears.
Hmm.
And she can take that money and put it in. Yeah, she took out $50,000 from her 401k or IRA. She used $30,000 to put in as a loan towards her campaign. And as she said, she kept the rest of the money. And she said at some point she had $1,000 to $15,000 in her house. And people are acting like, oh my God, people have money in their house. Have you ever met a Latino? Have you ever met a
Right.
black person?
And
Because they have money in tin cans all over the goddamn house. What are
it's
you talking
true.
about?
And you know what? Without even deploying all the facts and the deep dive that you just went into unpacking that lie, people got to use their common sense. Like this is the district attorney. You think she's going to be stupid enough? After all, she recited all that stuff from memory. You think she's going to be stupid enough to incriminate herself in a crime? Like when she like when she's under like I mean are you kidding me? And not to mention, this is coming from the side that continues to give money to a man who is still committing questionable acts when it comes to his own campaign finance because we're still not sure if it's totally fine to be transferring money or issuing refunds so he can go ahead and pay his legal bills. Like that's still up in smoke right now. We're the dust hasn't settled on that argument yet. So we don't know if he's actually like committing campaign finance law. So I think it's really funny that all of a sudden like MAGA is like they're legal experts in campaign finance laws when it comes to Fani Willis.
Oh
But
yeah,
when it
they're
comes
experts. They're experts, but again, she didn't take money out of her campaign because
right,
guess what? If you take money out of your campaign, that would be in your campaign finances. People would see that you may withdraw. There are no, I looked at it, there's no withdrawals.
right,
Okay.
that's all public
People
information.
It's all public information and how it's reported. So the other thing that drove me crazy was the dress because they're like, oh my God, this is how stupid they are. They're like, she has her dress on backwards. I'm like, what? Because the zipper was in the front. Then they're like they're trying to find this dress.
Yeah.
They find a similar dress, but it has totally different arms.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, I found the dress, guys. It has not these are not the same arms that it has on this like Adrian Papel. They went to her web. I mean, people are crazy. They went to her website, got this pink dress. I'm like, that's not the same dress, guys. It
Yeah,
looks
it's
similar, but it's not the same thing. I'm like, it is just absurd the way that they will take any little
Like,
thing
look at
and
this
try
guy,
to.
Neil Crystal 100. Fani is laundering taxpayers' money. Like, I wish they would stop like trying to ban books because it's taking a toll on their ability to understand what's being read.
Logic. They
Like,
lack
look,
logic. They
it's.
always have. It's
I
so
mean,
stupid. Like they don't even understand. First of all, MAGA should not talk about fashion because they are the last people that should be judging anyone on fashion because they have no fashion sense and neither does their cult leader. So they should stop that. There was one other narrative that was really pissing me off that I had to like debunk
mhm.
over the last couple of days. So it was the money thing, and there was one more, but I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. The dress thing, even the whole like she's an adulterer. First of all, the man said that him and his wife were separated since 2015 because guess what? She cheated on him with his friend. And they decided that they were going to make an agreement that they were going to stay together for a period of time. And you know what? He decided that he was going to, engage in a relationship. And fine, that's on him. That's she's not the adulterer. Technically, he is the adulterer. She is a grown woman. Oh, the other one was her dad. Like this whole thing with her dad that she didn't tell him about the relationship. I'm sorry, but I don't have to tell my parents at 43 years old what I do. I'm sure
Exactly.
you don't tell your parents what you have to do. Maybe it's a cultural
Nope.
thing that people just tell their parents what they're going to do, but I'm a grown and I'm not telling
Nope.
my dad what I'm doing. So I just find like the narratives that they have come up with to kind of like, oh, she's ghetto. I mean, you guys know that that's like a dog whistle by calling a black woman ghetto. So stop saying these things. Fani is Fani. She's gonna be her to the day she dies. And she got up there and she said what she had to say. And I loved when she told that man, "Don't yell at me," like that. I
Yep.
guess he was yelling. I love when she said, "A man is not a plan," because a man
Yep.
is definitely not a plan. I love when she said that the reason that her and oh boy broke up is because he thinks that she's supposed to be making him a sandwich. I laughed so hard.
I couldn't believe. I was like, oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, the misogyny of it all, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there are men like that. So it doesn't surprise me. She's a strong, independent woman, black woman, who believes in a relationship being reciprocal. So I believe that she gave him all his money and probably a little bit extra just so that man could never say that he did anything for her, especially if he thinks that that he's all about, the sandwich thing. I
Right.
laughed. I thought it was funny, but some parts there was a lot of stuff that pissed me off throughout it. The way they were talking to her dad, like there was a lot of things that really was weird. We found out she had a boyfriend previously who was a DJ. Like these are things that I never needed to know about Fani Willis.
I did not need to know
I did not
exactly.
need
And
to
I
know that
mean,
she dated a DJ.
and at the end of the day, they did not meet the burden
At
to
all.
get her disqualified. That's my prediction. She's not going to get disqualified. They
No,
did
she's
not prove
definitely not.
that she somehow benefited financially. Like if the story is that she went ahead and hired this prosecutor so she can pay him so he can take her out to the Olive Garden, like
Right.
that. Like I
Right.
mean that's
And the way that they were saying, oh, she went on these extravagant trips. I'm sorry, but my mom is from Belize. Going to Belize is not that extravagant. It's
right.
not like they went to, the Amalfi Coast or they went to
Exactly.
like they went some place that's like super exclusive. I mean, they went to Belize and beautiful place as it is, that's not extravagant. They went on 2 cruises. I can promise you, going to Royal Caribbean is not extravagant. And then they went to Aruba, which I love Aruba, but I'm sorry to tell you also that is
That's
not
also not.
that's not extravagant. These are
It's
just
not something that's
normal.
going to break the bank.
Yeah, these are normal vacations that grown people go on, and you take and I love when the prosecutor was like, "Well, did you, Mr. Wade went to, I think he went to New Zealand or Australia." She's like, I don't want to go to those places." She's like, "I'm good. He's a world traveler. I'm cool. So I just found the whole thing absurd that, they spend all this time, but like you said, they didn't establish that there was a conflict of interest. And that's what the whole hearing was about. I think the judge, after listening to all of that, he was like done with it. McAfee was over it by the last day. But he was the one who wanted to. I think I know why he had I keep saying
Right. He had to put it all on the table.
why he had the
Yeah.
hearing, because he had to seem, impartial,
Right.
and it had to happen. But at the end of the day, what did this accomplish? Nothing. And
Nothing.
it's gonna be back to business. I know they're supposed to go back, I think, next week, and they're gonna do closing statements, but summation, but
Well, here's if the only thing to come out of this, I would imagine, is if I were Mike Roman, I would be shitting a brick right now because he's the one that got indicted in this whole racketeering, in this whole RICO case with Donald Trump. He was one of the 19 indicted. He's the one that brought forth these allegations because he is a Republican Oppo research. That's what he does. That's his job, and he did not get anything to stick. Fani Willis is still going to be on the case. That's my prediction, that she's not getting removed. She's not going to be found that she benefited financially from this case. And I can only imagine, obviously, Fani Willis is going to follow everything to the letter, and she's going to do everything buttoned up. But I would venture to guess that Mike Roman is going to get something heavier than he would have gotten if he did not initiate this.
let's put it like this: there likely will not be a deal for
Yep,
Mike
there will
Roman.
not be a deal.
Yeah. Did you see Trevante Cootsy was in the courtroom, and what's
Was
the
she?
other? Yeah, she was.
Wow.
And
Okay.
the black guy was there, and I forget his name.
I forget his name too. But the guy who was
Well,
in jail for a
Harris.
while.
Harris, was it
Yes.
something Harris?
Hmm.
He was, and then the judge was like, where is he?" And he's like, "Oh, he's not here." Like the whole thing. And the guy who testified the last day, oh my God, he was horrible. That was gossiping with the defense counsel
That
with
was
Murphy.
that was their star witness.
Yeah,
That was their star witness. And I'm so glad you brought this up. Well, his name is Terrence something or other. But he was their star witness. He was supposed to contradict the testimony given by Wade and by Willis. He was supposed to say that their relationship predates the testimony, what they testified to. He was supposed to provide that. And then the defense when they asked the star witness, can you tell us when this relationship started? He said, and I quote, "I have no personal knowledge." And
right.
that really floored the defense because the defense attorney was like, wait a minute, that's not what you were leading me to believe when we were exchanging texts. Like, hello, this is what you said.
Right. He was
It's like,
reading all those texts, and then
yeah. I was like,
he's like,
yes.
and then he was like, had his phone, and he's like reading his phone, and he's like, "Well, I don't have that text message." It was awkward
And
as
what and
hell.
what you say through text is not sworn testimony. So you can say whatever you
Right.
want if we're exchanging text, but if you're
It
not
was
gonna
just, it's like literally
gossip,
me and you
yeah.
gossiping on a text message, and you're like, "Oh yeah, well yes, did you?" She's like, Did you hear about the fact that Fani and Nathan were going on trips together?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, I'm on my way back from Dubai, and I'll call you when I get back," or something like that. Like, what? This is like the silliness. This is
That has to
seriously.
be so embarrassing
It,
because can you imagine that's your fucking star witness
this
and
is
they're
a star
like,
witness who knows literally nothing. And then when the state goes, they're like, "So who's Anna Rodriguez?"
yep.
I was like, and then they're like, "Did you ever sexually assault Anna Rodriguez?" And he was like, "No." Then they're like, "Hold up." They get the guy to come in, the guy that worked at the law firm who supposedly saw it, and they're like, then they try to shut it down, but we already know that this guy, I thought this was brilliant, but I saw one of the lawyers saying, "Well, I don't know if this was a really good thing to do." I'm like, no, it spoke to his credibility. They literally had someone who witnessed this. He didn't get to testify what he saw, but we keep ethos that he saw something. Then they said, "Well, can we call Anna Rodriguez to the bench?" And the judge says, "No, we're not going to do that." But the fact that she came there proves a whole lot to me. This guy is not credible. Their star witness is not credible.
Nope.
He and the reason he left the firm is because of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Terrence Bradley. That was the defense's star
yes,
witness,
and
Terrence Bradley.
I am very curious to know about the Wade's ex-wife. Who got to her? Who got to Wade's ex-wife? That's what I
Yep,
want.
that's going to be uncovered because I'm sure Fafani is going to be like, "That's interesting that all this is happening. Let's see how Mike Roman got involved with all of this because now this is going to be another can of worms that's opened up." So I don't know why Mike Roman went down this way, but it seems like he's in deeper shit. And now that we're on the topic of people who are in deeper shit because they were trying to do something to help out Trump, we can talk about the FBI informant who
Oh my
got
God.
himself detained at out of all airports, Harry Reid Airport, like
Beautiful.
just a few days
Beautiful.
ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is the star witness in the impeachment case. You have now your star witness who has now been, as I would say, hemmed up and taken to be indicted and is now going to likely stand trial for being a liar.
And
It's
then
just
and
crazy.
then on top of that, it wasn't even just that he lied and tried to finesse his FBI handler. It's the fact that Republicans really wanted this FD 1023 form declassified because they said that, oh, it shows that this informant, who's a credible informant, he's been doing it for over a decade, blah blah blah. He is saying that Burisma Holdings paid Hunter Biden $5 million in a bribery scheme that benefited Joe Biden. They were all about getting this thing declassified. It had to be declassified, declassify it now. They all stood behind it, and now it came back and had a boomerang effect. And it's like, it's so embarrassing because now the guy who was charged, what the hell is his name? I forget his name right now. Let me see. Alexander Smirnov. Yes, he's 43 years old. Alexander Smirnov. So he was detained at the Harry Reid Airport, and he is being charged with making false statements, and not just making false statements, but fabricating records. And all for what reason? Because the guy did not like Joe Biden. That was the only reason why he fabricated. Can you imagine, like, thinking, having that warped thinking where you're like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try to finesse the fucking FBI against the president. Where do you think, like,
It's yes, this is all great. I mean, it's just crazy how stuff just drops. Like, the way the timing of that was just so interesting. Yes, Comer and Jordan and the MCG and all these people use this guy as like some kind of like person that had all this information, and come to find out he ain't got shit. So it is very interesting how Merrick Garland has played this all, and of course the same
mhm,
person who's charging Hunter Biden, the special counsel, is the person who charged this guy.
David
So there is
Weiss?
a lot happening from the DOJ that I can't. I just it's just so much happening that I know people. They love to complain about Merrick Garland, but this is what it is. And props to the FBI for getting this guy, and props to David, what's his name, David Weiss,
David Weiss, yeah.
yeah, for being able to kind of handle this. And he did it low key. No one knew this was coming, and I love that. I love that.
So I mean, their impeachment case or whatever they were trying to do to get Joe Biden impeached was already weak sauce. It was just hanging on by a thread. This really just like smashes everything because they still don't have the numbers to bring impeachment. Like if they were having that difficult of a time impeaching Mayorkas, like who gives a fuck about Mayorkas, right? Like, can you
No.
imagine like impeaching the president of the United States? They do not have the numbers. Not only do they not have the numbers, they don't have the grounds to do it. So, and especially now when they were all leaning on this they were all leaning on this FD 1023 form, and now we find out that the informant lied. I mean, what's the case? What are we talking about here? What are they hanging on to?
There never was any case. Now they were saying they're going to shift to impeaching him on the border. I'm like, there's nothing. You already got Mayorkas on nothing. So what are you going to do? Impeach him on on guys not wanting to pass a bill? Like, I don't know what the hell they think is going to happen, but they're grasping for straws at this point. There's literally nothing that they can point to that Biden has done wrong, and it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing for them because they are so pathetic.
And then and then just to take a step back, because we talked about Mayorkas getting impeached. So what's going to be funny is that who is going to be leading the impeachment hearing?
Oh my God, you see that list? Oh,
Like MTG is going to be doing it. I, I don't know. It's going to be
well, the thing is, Schumer gets to dictate what this trial looks like. So he can literally just say, "Listen, you got one day to get this together. You do what you got to do. We will listen. We will be the jury, and we will move on." And Republicans don't want to even Republicans in the Senate don't want to listen to this shit. You know what I mean? They don't want to
Mhm.
listen to it. He just has to have the votes to be able. If yeah, someone said he can table it, yeah, he has to have the votes to be able to table it. I think he's probably going to allow some sort of trial or whatever. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I know he's swearing them in. I think he said he was gonna swear them in as jurors. They're probably gonna have like a little something. And the thing is, the obligation is the media. They don't have to cover this. Like they don't even have to waste their time on this. They could be on
Right.
C-SPAN, make it a day, let them do this. Why are we holding up business? That's just stopping judges, in my opinion, from being confirmed. So it's just a waste of time. I just hope we just Schumer will make the right decision. He's in charge over there. Him and Mitch McConnell will come. Mitch McConnell doesn't want this at all on his plate.
Yeah, the last thing we can talk about to close out the hour is the fraud case in New York.
I knew this was coming. I said we had a space on Thursday night when we were talking about the Fani case, and I said I felt like something was gonna come on Friday. I didn't know if it was gonna be the Supreme Court cases or if it was going to be this specific, judgment that was made by Edrogen. Is that how you say his name? Edrogen? Ed,
Ergeron? Oh God, I can't.
the
It's not
judge. Let's
like,
go. Let's go with the judge. I don't know
yeah.
how to say. Yeah, no, it starts with an E. Judge E. I felt like it was coming, and then like 4:30 came, and I was like, oh snap! It came. Like I had that gut feeling, and sure enough, it came, and I was like, what is it? What is it gonna be? And
Engeron.
okay. And I was surprised that Fani, I mean, oh my God, next person,
Yeah.
DA, AG, Letitia
Letitia
James,
James. Yeah.
she got, yeah, she got the money. The money judgment was what she wanted and a little
Hmm.
bit more. Because I think it ended up, she said 454 million. I believe the reports were 300 and something. So I don't know if there's like was some other information that came out after
I,
that.
yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of hundreds of millions going back and forth, like different, like
Yeah,
with
there's a lot
interest.
of
Yeah.
Yeah, with interest, and then the fact that he has to put so much money down to be able to appeal it. 3 years that he can't do business. His kids can't do business for 2 years. Like there was a lot that he put in that judgment, and honestly, he made the right decision. I mean, he
Yeah.
made the right decision. And this Katie, that damn Katie Tur is like, is this fair? Is this fair? Yeah, it is fair. The law, it is goddamn
That's
fair.
what
Okay.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the judge was like, you can't do business for 3 years. And I really didn't want him to do business like ever again. But I think, Donald Trump just, this was something that was self-inflicted because if he just showed a little bit of contrition, a little bit of remorse in what he did, it would not have been as bad. That's all he had to do. All he had to show was like, okay, I got caught. But again,
This
for
is
whatever reason, this is, yeah, he will never apologize or show remorse for anything. He'll just double down on the decisions that he's made, and he'll attack the people who call him out on whatever it is that he was caught doing wrong. And
yeah.
but still, I mean, like, is it worth all those hundreds of millions of dollars? Like,
Yeah. Is it worth having a whole trial because you didn't want to give back documents? I mean, he's putting himself in these positions and then cries about it. But I was laughing because I didn't know this. Kayvon, he posted that this whole thing came about
of
because
AOC?
AOC, and I was like, I didn't put two and two together when she asked Michael Cohen that question. And now we see where this has landed. And Letitia James was like made me laugh on Friday because she was gloating, and I don't blame
Oh
her.
yeah, she was. She was.
As
She was
much
like,
as Trump has given her and
he
MAGA,
may have written the art of the deal,
he
but he perfected the art of
of
the
the steal.
steal.
That
I
is
was like, oh
so
man, okay, Batman.
yeah, she is so funny. She made me laugh so hard because she is who she is, and there's no denying that. But Tish James is she is gonna gloat. She's on top of her world. She had the best
Hmm.
weekend ever because they took a lot of time. But guys, this is just the beginning because March 25th we get the real trial from New
Yep.
York, the actual criminal trial where we have another DA, Alvin Bragg, who's bringing his case. They're going to start jury selection, and that case is going to trial. And we're going to see how that plays out. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see. We're just going to have to follow through, through the media, through Twitter and such, giving us play by plays of what's going on. But Donald Trump screwed himself. And that case is even more ridiculous because he paid off Stormy Daniels and he's going down for that shit. I don't
Yep.
care what anyone says. He's guilty
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
the
There's no,
cases are just going to get worse and worse from here. I mean,
yeah,
this case, like just having to pay a few hundred million, hundreds of millions of dollars, which is basically all the liquid assets he has, and he's basically going to go broke, and that's why his supporters decided to throw a GoFundMe up for him, which is just crazy, just bananas to begin with. But this was not the worst case. Like, okay, he has to pay basically $500 million. Like that's small potatoes to what's coming down the pike.
yeah. Did you see this article where remember we had this whole conversation in the summer? We had a live, we were trying to figure out like we talked about it earlier about his money situation with the people paying for his, basically using donations to pay for his campaign finances and his trials, like all of his trials that he has going on. And they had a chart, I think it was from the New York Times, of the money that he is spending on these trials and how much of it is consuming his campaign finances. He's gonna be broke. It's the election is obviously here, but
Yeah.
by the time, and I called this, I said I think it was in June when we were having it was in the summertime, we were having that conversation. I did a video on it, and I said he's going to be broke for the general election, and he is. He is going to be
Yeah.
broke, which is why they want I was going to think Ronna McDaniel. They got rid of Rona, and they have some new guy that's going in. And he does not have money to support Donald Trump. They don't even
Right.
get enough. They don't even raise enough money. So I don't understand how this is going to work. And honestly, I really don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if he's broke. I prefer for him to be broke and sleeping on someone's couch. He's gonna have to start selling his properties because that's the only way he's gonna be able to get liquid cash. Is if he sells, he can't take out certain loans anymore.
Hmm.
He's screwed. He's
He
basically
can't
screwed.
do business in New York. He can't
He can't
borrow
do business in
from
New
New
York.
York
And
banks. And I mean, New York City is the financial
my
capital of
favorite,
the world.
no, my favorite part of MAGA this week is they're like, well, he had, I guess his company merged with his Truth Social merged with
Hmm.
this other or technically or is in the process of merging. The SEC said he could that this thing can go through. It matches with regulatory. And like he's gonna get into a windfall of 4 billion. He has enough stocks in it, but that's not how this works.
Right.
There's a 6 month period where he can't touch the money and the deal has not gone through. That deal is not finalized. So let's say they finalize that deal in March. He has 6 months. He can't touch that money or sell any stocks until September, maybe October. That's way into the election season. And he's not, and let's be real, Trump is not using his own money to be able to pay for his campaign. That's not happening. So he cannot cash out until 6 months. This is the way that it works.
And
And he
and my
only
understanding is even the portion that he's going to get from that deal, that isn't even enough to cover if he wants to go ahead and appeal the decision. Like the portion that he gets, because he's not getting $4 billion. That's
right.
that's not
It's
how
on
it
paper.
works.
He has 4 billion on paper. he has a certain amount. He has like 60, I think 60 or 58% of the shares. And you can, he's gonna, if he wants to sell some of them, he
Hmm.
could at a certain point. But
Right.
that's all that 4 billion is dependent on what the stock is at that point. The
Right.
stock is that today, but that doesn't mean you're going to be, that stock is, because that stock is at like, I
Could
don't,
turn into a penny stock tomorrow.
yeah, it literally could. It's like, Mac is not the smartest bunch. It's kind of hilarious.
They're hanging on by what is it? What's the phrase? A wing and a prayer.
Yeah, and the guy who owns that world, whatever services or whatever it's called, he's like, I want my money. He's like, we're not going through with this deal until I get my money, and he
Yeah.
wants, and
Give me my
so he
money.
could just,
It's like
he said,
Stewie and Family Guy. Give me my money.
he's
Where's my
like, give me my
money?
money. I'm not breaking. Until you pay my money, we are not breaking apart. So yeah, it is gonna be funny, but I just find people so absurd asking like, saying all these things that Trump is gonna get this money, this is a win for him. When you have to pay 500 million, almost $500 million to New York, to the state, or to New York. I don't even, it's the state, I think, at this point for this one. You're not winning in that. You're
Nope.
losing. And now you also have to pay $83 million to E. Jean Carroll. So now you're even more in debt to that. He better start selling his buildings because that's the only capital he's gonna have. And no, a lot of
Half
those,
a
and,
billion
and
dollars.
a lot of those buildings that he owns, he has loans on them, and he has to pay those loans back, even if he sells it. He's on here, two peas in a pod, two broke asses.
So someone in the comments is like, oh, these two think that Trump is going to pay. He has to pay. Either way, he's going to have to pay. Even if he wants to appeal, he has to pay. I believe the range is between 105 to 125% of the judgment. So either way, he's going to have to pay regardless. That's what it is. Now, whether he's capable of covering the expenses, we don't know because he doesn't really release his tax returns, so we don't really know what his how much liquid assets he has. But he has
He
said before that he has
he,
in
he said he only, when he testified, he said he only had four in the E. Jean Carroll thing. He said he had 400,
440.
400. I'll just round it out to 400 and something million
You
dollars.
rounded down. You said no, 400.
I rounded down.
Yeah.
Forget that, guys. I'm rounding down. Let's just go. Okay, fine. 400. Let's say he has $450 million. That only covers like one of these. So he doesn't have liquid cash
Hmm.
to be able to even pay these judgments.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And then in the civil fraud lawsuit, if Trump doesn't have the ability to pay, then the judgment would promptly come into force, and it would allow basically like I don't know what the mechanism is. I don't know if it's a sheriff or what goes in place, but they basically have to start seizing his assets.
I can't wait. I want that to happen so bad. You know how
I mean,
embarrassing that is?
that is so embarrassing for a supposed billionaire. So, he can't postpone payments through an appeal because he's got to put up. Oh, well, it's 120 to 125% of the judgment. So, because it incorporates post judgment interest that's accrued while the appeal process takes place. So he's in deep shit, guys.
Yeah,
So I mean, if
also,
for
where's
all
Melania? Where's Melania?
where's Ivanka?
Where's
Where's
Ivanka?
Melania?
And then his son is like, no, the funny thing was the son saying, that he built the New York City skyline. I laughed so hard about that. Like, dude, he did not. He built like a couple of buildings in the skyline. He did not build the skyline. Like, these people are just grasping, like I said, at straws. They're trying to find anything that will, make him look good. They do this all the time. He is down and out. I'm sorry. And then, then he did not have a million orders of his shoes. Like, those shoes, he's lucky if I don't even know how many they made. I think
and
it
and
was like,
the Trump name was just licensed to the shoe brand to the shoemakers. Like it's not something that he developed. Like these two guys like who are Trump supporters basically were like, oh, let's make a Trump sneaker, and Trump just gave him the licensing rights to put Trump on there. So he's not even getting the majority of the profit from the sneakers. Yeah. So
Woo.
Yeah, so for the
But
MAGA
how is
folks
he
in
doing?
the comment, like don't dilly dally. Like you got to donate to like take your hard earned money and donate to a billionaire so he can go ahead and pay his legal fees and the judgments because he's gonna go broke before election day. And you know what? Great. Like I don't mind, but don't your guy go broke.
But did you see, as somebody mentioned in the comments, and I was just about to say it, that he got booed in Philly
Yep.
yesterday at that sneaker con convention, which was, well, sneaker convention. And they were saying go Biden, like, I mean, oh, let's go Biden. And that's actually trending on Twitter right now, which is
Hmm.
gonna piss him off even more.
He tried to suppress all the votes in Philly when he
Yeah,
was contesting the election.
that night, remember that night?
Yeah.
What was the fertilization place that they had that whole thing at? Remember Rudy did that whole.
Was that there?
It was in
It was
Philly,
the
yeah.
Four Seasons,
The
like
Four Seasons.
but
It was in
yeah,
Philly.
but
People thought it was the Four Seasons in downtown Philly, and they were at the Four Seasons fertilization place.
yeah.
What a mess. Yeah, no, he definitely tried to suppress votes in Philly and was talking shit about Philly
Hmm.
landscaping, Four Seasons
Oh,
landscaping.
Four
Yeah,
Season Landscaping. Thank you. That's
what
exactly
a
what it was.
disaster. So yeah, no one cares about Donald Trump in Philly. Like you thought you were gonna roll up into do like this is how clueless they are. Do you know what sneakerheads even like you're gonna roll up in there and be like, hey guys, I got a sneaker. Those people are like boo boo like so clueless. But that's not surprising. I don't know. It's a mess.
Well, I think that covers the hour for
We got everything in an hour. I am so proud of us.
we did it. We did it. We covered everything because that was a lot to cover. That was a lot to
It
cover.
really was a
So much
long
happened
week.
this week. Oh,
It was
one thing I did want to talk about. One thing I did want to talk about because it's kind of flew under the radar. It's the fact that the special counsel who wrote the report on Biden on the classified documents, Robert Hur, he's going to testify in less than a month. He's going to testify at a congressional hearing, and we know what that's going to be
March.
like.
They don't know the day. Then it said day, right? Or the
March
day.
12th.
Oh,
March
they
12th.
agreed on March 12th. Friday they were
Yeah.
saying in March. Okay, well, March 12th, we will be watching her the hack. That's what it's
Hmm.
called. Her the hack testify in front of Congress. I'm assuming it's going to be an open congressional hearing.
I hope so.
We will hear him say why he did what he did, and I can't wait to hear it. I don't want to hear it, but I'm gonna hear it because I want to hear what the hell he has to say and the bullshit that went behind all of that. Bless his heart,
Yep.
dude.
And I don't know which Democrat is going to jump on it, but obviously they're going to talk about a portion where her, because the media, the part the media pulled out was the memory part, right?
Mhm.
But in her's report, he does compare and contrast the two cases with both presidential candidates. He talks about the severity of Donald Trump's case compared to the way Joe Biden reacted when he had the classified documents. He says in his report, he's like, Joe Biden, like they did a sweep, they volunteered all the information. Joe Biden came in, cooperated with all our requests, whereas Donald Trump did the opposite. He he hid the stuff and then he obstructed justice by trying to direct his employees to delete the footage from the IT server. Like he says that in his report. And he basically says like if the stuff against Trump is true and he's found guilty of it, he's basically in deep shit. Like deep shit.
Yeah, yeah. This is gonna be it. Like I said, there is a lot. What do you know? Do you know what committee he is going to be
I don't, but I can find out right now. Let me see. Special counsel Robert Hurt is expected to testify at a public hearing in front of the. Oh, it's going to be open. Okay, public hearing in front of the House Judiciary. Blah blah. Her
judiciary?
investigated. Blah blah blah. Oh,
So
House Judiciary. Yeah.
okay, there's good. We have good people on that committee, so
Yep.
that should be fun to hear them questioning. I want to hear the question that I actually may tune in for that. I very rarely watch these hearings because they're so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But I will be there with my. That's not the week that I'm traveling, thankfully, for work. So I will be home and watching with. I might even take off that day just so I could talk shit.
Yeah, these hearings always take place when I'm at the gym. So when I'm working out, like at 7 a.m. or 6, I just see span. I'm like, okay, let's hear what's going on. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I mean, this week, what are we looking for this week? Because we did not expect half the stuff that happened this week to happen.
Nope.
We knew it was coming, but we didn't know it was going to end up this way. But I think this week we may get a Supreme, tomorrow's a holiday.
Yep.
Obviously, it's President's Day, but I think we may get a Supreme Court ruling this week.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll get at least one, and we will see how it goes. And I have no idea what else to expect this week because I don't know that there's much else going on. I know that the Fani case, obviously, well, hearing,
Mm-hmm.
they'll conclude it this week, and we'll hope maybe get, depending on what day they do it, we may
Right.
get a comment on that one. And we're just preparing for the New York case. So hopefully it'll be a quiet week, but there's no primaries this week. Thankfully, the next one is the 27th. So nothing coming up this week. But then the following week we have Michigan, which should be interesting. And yeah, this is where we are. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it is a quiet week and it won't be
Yep.
bad.
The house is in recess for what?
Recess.
2 weeks.
Yep, 2 weeks. They don't come back until the following week. So it's gonna be hopefully quiet. We'll see.
Hopefully. That
Uh,
probably means something crazy is going to come out.
yeah,
So
of
we'll see.
course. There's always something. Yeah, yeah. I know Michigan has started, but we won't get the results until the 27th. So
Yeah.
if you live in Michigan, early voting has started. So get the South Carolina primary. When is that? That's not until the 24th. Oh, that's Saturday. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. But yeah,
Oh
Saturday.
wow. Thanks for something useful, Kate.
Look,
Appreciate it.
look at you. Yeah, so that's Saturday. SCOTUS, yes. I think we know we're getting something on Wednesday, but I don't know what that is. They didn't say obviously what it's going to be. So it could be something that we're not expecting, but most people believe that it is going to be one of the two, probably the immunity one. So do you think they're going to take it? I don't think they are.
I
The
don't
immunity.
know. I don't think they are. I don't think they're going to because I think just like when we talked yesterday, the way Jack Smith laid it out
Right.
and the brevity in which he filed the answer because I think he had a week and he did it within what 2 days was it? He covered all his bases in his response and he was like, "Look, the decision that was rendered is so buttoned up. There's really not much for you to do here. And by the way, you guys initially didn't want to take this case to begin with. So why would you take it now? Because nothing really has changed, and there's already like this really comprehensive decision already in front of you. So there's not much for you to do. So go ahead, guys, rule like you did the last time, and we can move forward."
Yeah, and I think if the Colorado case comes back, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like they're just gonna let that go.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna be like, No, he can still be on the ballot," which
Yeah.
it's not going to make
Yeah.
people happy, but we got to beat them at the polls. We got
Yeah,
to beat them at the
this may
booth.
be fingers crossed our quietest week because like I said, the following week is Michigan, then the following week after that is the primary for the Super Tuesday, so all the primaries, and
Hmm.
even a primary in your state for the Senate race, which shall be interesting.
Yep, I'm excited to see that. We're we're going to find out who wins the. I mean, I think it's going to be Schiff versus God, whatever the Republican guy is.
Yeah,
Um,
that'll be perfect. That's perfection. Him and
yeah,
Katie
that.
Porter went at it, which I love because she's such a ugh.
Yeah, I can't stand Katie Porter, but anyway, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I got my no, I got my polling location, which I already know what it is. So I got to vote in that primary. I'm
Yeah,
excited. Well, I
I'm
think that's it for us for tonight, guys. If you aren't following me, please follow me. If you aren't following Tiff, please follow Tiff. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, that's cool too. My handle is at Jose Can You See, and Tiff's is Tiffy330. That's Tify 330. That's zero, not 330. Yeah, sorry. Well, thanks so much, guys. I hope everyone has a great week. Thanks for liking the live. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks for following us. Thanks for gifting. Mods, thanks for modding. I appreciate it. Tiff, This was an awesome, awesome, awesome recap of the week.
We
So
did
can't
it.
wait to
See,
do it
and
again.
we did it fast because
And we
we've
did it fast.
been like an hour and a half. So we did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, have a
All
good
right, Tiff. Well, have a great week. Have a great week,
you too.
everybody.